we're going to be looking at some linear application problems in this video. So a few things to keep in mind as you work through some of these. You can find the perimeter of any figure by adding up all the side lengths. So it doesn't matter what shape you have. If you want to find the perimeter, just add up all the sides. The sum of the measures of the three angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So in other words, if you have a triangle, it doesn't matter what kind of triangle. Here's an angle, here's an angle, here's an angle. All three angles will always add to 180 degrees. A right angle measures 90 degrees. So as a reminder, it's when they meet like this. It could make a square in the corner. A 90-degree angle is when two lines are perpendicular to one another. So that's a 90-degree angle. So if you see something that says a right triangle means that one of the angles is a right angle. Okay, so let's look at a few of these. So number one, the measure of the smallest angle of a right triangle is 20 degrees less than the measure of the next larger angle. Find the measures of all three angles. So here, it's key to realize that you have a right triangle. So I'm going to draw a diagram. A right triangle means that one of the angles of the triangle is 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw it so that this angle is 90 degrees. The measure of the smallest angle, I'm just going to call this one the smallest. The measure of the smallest angle of a right triangle is 20 degrees less than the measure of the next larger angle. So we'll call this one x, and the smallest one is 20 degrees less than that. So this will be x minus 20. And when you have a triangle with a right angle, the right angle is always the largest angle because all of the interior angles have to add to 180 degrees. 90 is half of 180. So the other two angles together will total 90 degrees. So 90 degrees, the right angle will always be the largest of the three angles. Okay, so find the measure of all three angles. So we can add all three of these up and set it equal to 180. So x plus x minus 20 plus 90 is equal to 180. I can combine like terms here and here. So we'll have x plus x is 2x. Negative 20 plus 90 is plus 70. And that's equal to 180. Subtract 70 from both sides. So we get 2x equals 110. Divide by 2. So x is equal to 55. So that's the measure of one angle, 55 degrees. So we have this angle is 55 degrees. We already know that the right angle is 90 degrees. And now we can just plug in 55 for the other angle, the x value. 55 minus 20 is 35 degrees. So there are the measures of the three angles, 90, 55, and 35. The angles in a triangle are such that one angle is twice the smallest angle, while the third angle is 3 times as large as the smallest angle. Find the measures of all three angles. All right, so we have a triangle. One angle is twice the smallest angle, so x and 2x. The third angle is 3 times as large as the smallest angle, so 3x. I drew a right angle, but it does not say that this is a right triangle. So maybe I should not have drawn a right triangle. It doesn't matter if I draw it like that. I can't assume it's a right angle unless it specifically says that. But just to make sure we're not confused, let me just draw another triangle. So let's say this is x, this is 2x, and this is 3x. Find the measures of all three angles. So we know all of these angles added together has to be equal to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to add them all up. So that would be 6x equals 180. I would divide by 6. So x equals 30 degrees. So if x is 30 degrees, I can plug 30 in for x everywhere. So 2 times 30 is 60 degrees, and 3 times 30 is 90 degrees. So in fact, it was a right triangle, but I didn't know that until I solved it. Number 3, the length of a rectangle is 8 feet more than the width. The perimeter is 60 feet. Find the length and the width. So I would suggest drawing a diagram. So we have a rectangle this time, and it says the length is 8 feet more than the width. Notice that it's comparing to the width. Whatever it's comparing to is the variable by itself. So the width is going to be x. The length is 8 feet more than that. So the length is 8 feet more than x. So x plus 8. The perimeter is 60 feet. So in a rectangle, the two lengths are the same and the two widths are the same. And you can find a perimeter of any shape by adding up all the sides. So I have x plus 8 plus x plus 8 plus x equals 60. So if I combine all my like terms, I have 4 x's, and I have an 8 plus an 8. That'll give me 16. So 4x plus 16 equals 60. And now I'm going to solve this by subtracting 16 from both sides. So 4x equals 44. I'm going to divide by 4. So I get x equals 11. So it asks me to find the length and the width. So I found x. X is the width. So the width is 11 feet. And then I can plug in 11 for x in the length. 11 plus 8 is 19. So the length is 19 feet. If you wanted to check your work, you could add up 11 plus 11 plus 19 plus 19, and you would see that you got 60, which is the perimeter we were looking for. Don't forget to put your unit of measure. So you should include the feet here for the unit of measure, and make sure you label which one is the width and which one is the length. All right, number 4. We have another problem with a rectangle, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the diagram. So the length of the rectangle is 3 meters less than twice the width. So it's comparing length to width. So since it's comparing to the width is the plane variable. You could call it W or X. So I'm going to call it X. All right, so the length is 3 meters less than twice the width. So twice the width is 2x. The less than, remember that switches the order, 3. So 2x minus 3. Again, the perimeter, you just add up all the sides. So you could set up an equation. So 2x minus 3 plus another 2x minus 3 plus the two widths, x and x, is equal to 36. So we're going to combine our like terms. 2x, 2x, x, and x. So that's 4, 5, 6x. And then we have a negative 3 and another negative 3. So that would be a negative 6 is equal to 36. And then we're going to solve. So we'll start by adding 6 to both sides of the equation. So we get 6x equals 42. We'll divide by 6, so x is 7. So what is that? X we let represent the width. So that means the width is 7 and the unit of measure is meters. So the width is 7 meters. And then we want to find the length, and we'll do that by plugging 7 in for x. So 2 times 7 is 14, minus 3 is 11, so the length is 11 meters. All right, on number 5, we have the perimeter of a triangle this time. So we're going to be looking at a triangle. So the perimeter of a triangle is 39 feet. One side of the triangle is 1 foot longer than the second side. So I'm just going to pick a side here. It's comparing to the second side, so I'll say this is x. One side of the triangle is 1 foot longer than the second side. So let's say x plus 1. So let's see. Let's be really careful here. We're comparing to the second side. So the second side is what we're calling just x. So you want to make sure you're careful and you realize that x is the second side. The reason I'm pointing that out is because in the next sentence, it says the third side is 2 feet longer than the second side. It's again comparing to the second side, which we called x. So the third side is 2 feet longer than that, so it'll be x plus 2. Find the length of each side. So since we're doing a perimeter, we just add up all the sides. So x plus 1 plus x plus 2, and it says the perimeter is 39 feet. So we're going to combine like terms. I have an x, and another x, so that will be 3x. I have a 1 and a 2, so when I combine those, I get 3, and that's equal to 39. So to solve, I'll start by subtracting 3 from both sides, and I'll get 3x is equal to 36. And I will divide by 3, and I get x is 12. So 12 represents the second side. Okay, and it just tells me to find the length of each side. So one of them is 12, is it feet? Yes, 12 feet. Okay. So let me write it in red here. 12 feet. So I'm going to plug in 12 everywhere where there's an x. So 12 plus 1 is 13, and 12 plus 2 is 14. So we have 12 feet, 13 feet, and 14 feet as the 3 lengths of the sides. All right, our last example. Maven rented a canoe to enjoy an afternoon on the river. It cost $20 to rent the paddle and $12.50 per hour for the canoe. Write an equation to model the scenario is part A. Part B asks if Maven spends a total of $51.25, how long did she rent the canoe and paddle? So let's start with the first part. We want to write an equation to model this scenario. We're looking at 2 different costs. So one, $20 to rent the paddle. So that's a flat rate. Whereas the other cost is $12.50 per hour. So that fluctuates based on the number of hours you rent the canoe. The paddle does not fluctuate. It's that cost no matter how long you rent the canoe and the paddle. So you have a fixed cost and you have a variable cost. So what you want to do is have y equals, you're going to have a fixed cost, so that would be 20, and then you're going to add that to the cost for the variable cost, so $12.50 per hour. So that'll be $12.50 times x. X is the number of hours you rent the canoe. So if you rent it for 1 hour, it's $12.50. If you rent it for 2 hours, it would be 2 times $12.50 or $25, etc. So that's the equation to model the scenario. The next part asks us to use that model to figure out if she spends a total of $51.25, how long did she rent the canoe and paddle? So we're wanting to know how long, which means we want to know X. And it's telling us she spent a total of $51.25. Y represents the total that she spent. So we're going to plug that $51.25 in for Y. And then we're going to solve for X. So we would subtract 20 from both sides. And we would get 31.25 is equal to 12.5x. And then to get rid of the 1250 that's next to the x, we would have to divide both sides by 1250. So that would give us x is equal to 2.5. So again, x represented the number of hours that Maven rented the canoe, so it would be 2.5 hours.